the first of the tribes to go into idolatry, and Ephraim also went into idolatry. So instead of listing the tribes of Dan and Ephraim, he does list, of course, the tribe of Joseph. Now, Ephraim was one of Joseph's sons. Usually in the listing of the tribes, you don't read of Joseph, but you read of Ephraim and Manasseh, and they were two of Joseph's sons. And you remember when Jacob finally met Joseph, Joseph came to his father, who he had not seen in years, and Jacob, you remember, put his hands on the two sons, as Joseph brought his sons to his father. He brought them in a position so that, and Jacob was going to bless them, so that Jacob's right hand would be on the older son. And Jacob crossed his hands and put his right hand on the younger son, and Joseph said, no, Dad, and he tried to change his, son, I know what I'm doing. Sons, know this, your dad usually knows what he's doing. But he then blessed them, and the greater blessing upon Ephraim, the younger of the two. But they are the 12 sons, and Joseph here is listed. Manasseh is also listed, and Levi is listed. Now, usually Levi is not listed because the tribe of Levi did not receive any inheritance in the land. In apportioning the land out to the various tribes, they apportioned certain sections to each of the tribes. And Jacob said to Joseph, these two are mine. Whatever sons you have from here on, they can be yours, but these two are mine. So Jacob claimed the two sons of Joseph, Ephraim and Manasseh. And then in the listing of the tribes, you usually find Ephraim and Manasseh listed. They received their portion in the land, but there was no portion for the tribe of Levi, but they had cities for the Levites throughout the land, but no portion was given to them. It said God was their portion. So the names of the sons are interesting, and especially the order in which the sons are listed here. Oh, and just incidentally, though Dan is not listed as being sealed to escape a part of this great tribulation, in the book of Ezekiel, in the future, when the Lord comes, again, the land is going to be apportioned out to the tribes of Israel. And in the 48th chapter of Ezekiel, in the apportioning of the land to the tribes, Dan is the very first tribe to get his allotment. And there I see the grace of God and the goodness of God, though he isn't spared through the great tribulation, yet in the future he is the first of the tribes to get the apportionment. And of course also Ephraim gets an portion of the land in the future. So Judah is the first one listed here, of the Judah 12,000. The name Judah means praise of God. Reuben, the second one listed, it means viewing the sun. Gad, a troop is coming. Asher means blessed. Leah, the mother, said, happy am I, for the daughters will call me blessed, and she called his name Asher. Naphtali, it means wrestling or striving. It was difficult pregnancy, and so she called him striving in her womb. Rachel said, with great wrestlings have I wrestled with my sister and prevailed. And so she called his name Naphtali. Manasseh means forgetfulness. And Joseph called the name of the firstborn Manasseh, for God has made me to forget all my toil in my father's house. And the name Simeon means hearing or obeying. She conceived again, bore a son, said, because the Lord has heard that I was hated, he hath therefore given me this son also, and called his name Simeon. That is, the Lord heard my distressful cry. The tribe of Levi means joining or cleaving to. Genesis 29:34, she conceived and bore a son and said, now as my husband will be joined unto me, because I've borne him these 3 sons, and called his name Levi. Issachar means reward. Leah said, God has given me my hire, because I have given my maiden to my husband, and she called his name Issachar. Zebulun means to dwell. And Leah said, God has endued me with good dowry. Now will my husband dwell with me, because I have borne him 6 sons, and she called his name Zebulun, to dwell. And Joseph means added, and she called his name Joseph and said, and this was the first son, of course, of Rachel, and said, his name Joseph, for the Lord shall add to me another son. And she did have another son, called his name Benjamin, son of my right hand. Sort of putting the names together in the order that they're listed here in Revelation is interesting. A praiser of God, viewing the Son. Blessed ones, wrestling with forgetfulness, but hearing and obeying the word. They hold to the reward of a heavenly dwelling. In addition, they have become sons of God's right hand. And so the order in which the names are given, when you give the interpretation of the names, it is interesting. And of course, if the names were in any other order, it wouldn't make any sense. And so evidently the Spirit of God was directing the order of the names or the tribes given who are sealed, and they go through a portion, at least, of the Great Tribulation. They will be 144,000. They will be, as we said, Israelites, 12,000 from these each of these 12 tribes, and they will be probably the greatest evangelists the world has ever seen. And God will use them during the tribulation period. They are sealed by God to go through the tribulation. They are a type of Noah in the Old Testament. Another time in the history when God brought judgment upon mankind, the judgment of the flood. And God saw Noah, a righteous man, and he ordered him to build this large ark. And it said that Noah went into the ark and God sealed the ark, so that Noah went through the great judgment of God upon the earth. He survived